We have seen a resounding, resilient effort in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon and sport card industry. We have seen unprecedented sustainability in this market.
In a world full of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, grading, selling, buying, one card game remains supreme. One man has the insights you need to know. Watch and subscribe now. YugiohTube.
What's up, YouTube? YugiohTube here with yet another video. And this one is very unconventional, this discussion. And it involves the epidemic that we are facing right now, not only as a nation, but as a world. The entire world is facing this epidemic, which I will not name the exact thing that's going on, but it is an illness, obviously, as we all know. I don't think there's any surprise here what is going on in today's world. Right now, we are kind of in this version of living through a history book. This is going to be something unprecedented that we have never even seen or prepared for, and, years from now, 10, 20, 30 years from now, this is going to be something people are going to look back at and say, wow, what an event. So keep that in mind. Right now, we're living through a significant time in an event in history, and we are kind of rewriting or writing our own chapter. And before I get into this economic discussion involving the financial side of things and cards and stocks and whatever might be, let's first just take a moment to obviously hope that everyone is taking the right precautions to make sure that everyone around them is okay. Obviously, I hope all my subscribers, I hope that all you guys and girls are obviously taking caution. This is not something to really scoff about or laugh about. This is something real. This is something serious. And whether you might say, well, I don't have any pre-existing conditions, or, I'm young and healthy. First of all, you never know. Second of all, think of all the people you're being exposed to. And if you do spread an illness to someone that may have pre-existing conditions, then obviously, you're putting someone else at danger. So let's just first take a moment to step back and say, okay, let's hope and take all the precautions we can to make sure that ourselves and everybody around us are okay so that we can beat this. So thinking about other people as well, the people that sell Purell on eBay, these people have to be, there's got to be some sort of regulation. I don't even know how this is allowed on eBay. They're taking opportunities away from the people that actually need it. The people that run into the grocery stores at 6, 7 in the morning and take and stockpile everything. This is a buying and selling channel. This is an investing channel. But when you take it this far in terms of taking opportunities and assets and things that people actually need, especially elderly people, you're taking the opportunity away from them. That's absolutely ridiculous. If you see someone doing that, you got to call them out on it, because it's just absolutely absurd. The stories I've heard, the things I've seen on the news are just ridiculous. But now that that's all out of the way, kind of mini rant there, let's talk about the sport card and the non-sport card industry and what's going on here. So we have seen stocks in the stock market totally collapse in the past, was it a week and a half, almost 2 weeks now, a completely free fall. And so a lot of people's concerns, and I think you could go back to another video I made, had to be like 8 months ago, 10 months ago, what would happen in an economic downturn or economic crash? Okay, hypothetically, what would happen to the value of cards if the economy or if the stock market crashes? And I think so far, we have seen a resounding, resilient effort in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon and sport card industry. We have seen unprecedented sustainability in this market. Okay, cards that were selling a month ago for a certain price and a set price are selling now at the same price, if not even higher. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I loved cards. First of all, obviously, I'm a hobbyist. I always collected and played the games too. So, of course, there's some sort of attachment there. But going through, for example, 2008 and the housing bubble and the crisis, Then, when the bubble burst and we saw a big-time recession, yeah, cards were a little bit down, especially the mid to low-end cards, right? The higher-end cards, pretty set, okay? Obviously, we've seen huge growth in the last 4 or 5 years on some stuff, but overall, the world didn't collapse. The world of sport cards and the world of Pokemon cards, it didn't collapse. You may have a little wrinkle, you may have a little crack, but we weren't free-falling like the stock market was. Now, obviously, if you look at the stock market, it's much easier. It's much more liquid. You could say, okay, I'm going to go on my phone, right? And I'm going to buy 30 shares of Disney, blah, 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 blah. Tap, tap, done. And obviously, if I want to sell out, tap, 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 tap. Done in about 20, 25 seconds. And the money comes right to my account immediately. So you have that aspect of liquidity and convenience. With cards, you don't. You say, I got to sell it. I got to find a buyer. I got to list it. I got to take a photo. And I got to go to the post office and wrap the entire package. A big pain in the butt if you want to sell, right? Compared to stocks where you just click 2 buttons. But as a whole, we are seeing such power and dominance here in this kind of market, in this segment. It's unprecedented. Now, am I surprised? So. I thought, of course, and if you go back to my video about the economic crash, potential economic crash, if it were to happen, and how it would affect cards, there's a chance that, yeah, you could see some drops. So far, we really haven't. And keep this in mind for sports cards fans out there. I know most people watching this channel aren't really into sports, but of course you got to take a look at other segments, or I guess like micro segments. So sports cards, seasons completely canceled, tournaments canceled, delayed, postponed, all these big time sports. The start of the baseball season canceled. And yet we are still seeing high prices. Again, there's certain players, certain cards that maybe dipped a little bit, right? Certainly not dipping 35, 40% like a stock. I mean, unbelievable what we have been seeing on the stock market. But in the card market, pretty strong. Now, could this change? Yes. Could next week, could 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, it could all change and it can kind of catch up with how the stock market is moving and how the economy is kind of in a downturn. Oh, of course. Of course. But do I ever think it's going to drop like the stock market? Absolutely not. That's my opinion. I'm not saying any fact. I'm not saying to invest in sport cards and not invest in sports. I'm just saying this is my opinion here. And that's my gut feeling. I think we definitely have a chance for some lower to mid-end cards to drop, but I don't think it's anything to really be worried about. Of course, in this time, economically, we have to be worried about a lot of different things. So, of course, it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. You always want to expect the worst and kind of adapt to that, because if you expect the worst, then you're usually coming out ahead because you're prepared for something. But overall, we have seen such power and resiliency. I mean, we have seen these collectibles retain value, if not go up in value. And that is a beautiful thing to see in an economic state that is really in shambles. Who knows how long this is going to last, the stock market, fall. We don't know. What we do know right now is, given how everything, you look at gas prices, they've completely fallen off the cliff too, And this is going to affect the economy in a lot of different ways. And this is maybe where it might be even more concerning economically. You could say, well, it's going to go back in 2 or 3 months. Let's say this sickness goes down and it goes way back up in 3, 4 months from now, and it's no problem on the stock market. Here's the problem. The problem is this 3 months of, hypothetical 3 months of, not going outside and, staying at home and doing this, and businesses closing and small businesses having to close, at least temporarily. That's a big hit. That's a huge hit on the economy, because there's people losing their jobs. People need to be paid. Business owners not making money. A lot of different things go into this. And if you think a restaurant, you got cooks, you got waiters, waitresses, owners. You got so many different, maitre d's, so many different aspects. And that's just one business, one restaurant. You think about some of these other smaller businesses, and they're going to get slammed. And that's going to hurt. So I think that's going to hurt the economy. So I think the economy is not in the best possible shape. Even after this whole thing is done, the economy might, I don't know if we're going to reach those levels ever that we were. We were on such a groove for a long period of time. But even then, okay, I don't know if you might want to expect massive gains on the cards like we've been seeing lately in terms of investments. But, you know, obviously something to keep an eye out for. And another reason why cards, I feel like, don't drop like that of stocks is because people actually buy cards to collect. People actually have this feeling of nostalgia and connection with cards. And again, people want to get back to what brought them happiness 20, 30 years ago. Okay? And unlike stocks, you're in it for the money. There's no questions about that. Cards, you like to buy and sell, right? You might use the money and profit to buy more for your collection. You know, you might have a collection and have a side buying and selling. You might have a little bit of both. There's always that connection with cards. You can't just really go into cards and delve into cards and say, I'm going to get all these cards for the money. Typically, I mean, from 95 to, you know, I would say 95+% of the people in cards right now have some emotional attachment to cards. There's got to be some attachment there. And that's why it's like, well, if it goes up, if it goes down, doesn't matter to me. I'm going to keep it. Something like that. Most of the time. Of course, you know, things could change and people could liquidate and people could sell and life could change and they might want a house. They might want to have a child and boom, obviously the expenses go up and they have to, unfortunately, make some sacrifices. But overall, cards, they're just showing you how strong that they are. You know, and that is awesome to see. That is so awesome to see. Again, I don't know how long this is going to last. No one knows how long this whole thing is going to last. No one knows how long the card market is going to be on an at least stable platform, if not rising platform, which is astounding during this time for cards to be rising, but it is what it is. Nobody really knows. We don't know. What do you guys think? Comment below. And obviously, hope everyone is doing okay out there, because right now you don't want to mess around, think of it as a joke, because it isn't. And obviously that you see economically, you see business-wise, you see everything kind of shutting down in high-affected areas. So until next time, YugiohTube signing out. What do you think of this really, really resilient market in that of the cards, the sport cards, the non-sport cards? What do you guys think? Collectibles. Till next time, YugiohTube. Stay safe out there. Signing out.